So there's lots of rules about mechanical drawings, and I'm going to go over some of them with you right now and give you some sort of preferences for where we're going to go. So the first thing is there needs to be a title block. Let me zoom in on the title block. And the title block should have a title, the company. A lot of this gets filled out automatically, but be sure that your name is on it. And then above the title block, in general, you'll see something called a bill of materials or a parts list. And this one says, okay, each one of these leg adapters, okay, which has a part number, leg adapter -1, okay, we can change that. That's basically goes by the file name. You want to tell somebody what it's made from so they know what to go and get. Okay, so this says, all right, there's one of these, and on this drawing, and you make it out of this stuff, 1.5 by 2 by 2 foot maple. Now, potentially yours is made out of something else, but this is where somebody would go to get it. Okay, and then there's something called standard dimensions, standard tolerances. So if my dimension has 2 decimal places, 3 decimal places, fraction, so on and so forth, I'm going to apply this to it unless it says something else. Okay, and you'll see that all of the ones I've put on here so far are 2 decimal places. That's sort of how we start to get things in place. Then I'll do my tolerance review on things that go together and see if I need to be more specific on any of those, and I'll change those specific dimensions. Okay, the other thing that shows up on here is a revision block. Okay, and so the tolerance one you just get from a general table and you make it, but you put in the revision table. Okay, so that goes on there. And then there will be some general notes, and I'll tell you what those general notes should say as we go. So that makes up a drawing. I happen to use a D size drawing. I like large drawings that let me get my parts drawn big. But here's what goes on a drawing. The information, and only the information, that's required to build the product. And it should be done in the most general way possible. In other words, the fewest number of views. Now, it doesn't maybe look like it from here, but remember, it has to be crystal clear. And we can only dimension something that's an object line. I cannot, as an example, dimension to these lines for the holes because they're not they're not object lines, they're hidden lines. So I would need to do that in a different view, or I would need to do some sort of a breakout, something like that. Okay? Now I don't really need this breakout over here, but I think it's good to be able to show this. It shows it a little bit more clearly. Potentially I could have done that as a full section view to really show it more clearly. So there's always things that you can do after you review to make it look better. Okay, but here I've got an overall length, I've got an overall length, and I've got an overall length. So I've clearly defined the material that I need. I've given it a visualization for it. And then these are called detail views. Okay, this is a small view, and it would be really hard to see all this stuff up here. So this is at 1 = 2. So I made a detail view where I could create these bigger so that I could see it better. Okay, so that's what I've done there. I made kind of a goofy angle here, but that's what it is. I did what I did. And everything is called out. Okay, I've got a dimension to everything. Now you'll see this one right here where it says, oh, that's 1, and the parentheses means I've showed that dimension somewhere else, and go look for it there when you want to know the tolerances. Okay, so now there are other ways I can do this dimensioning, and we'll talk about some of those. We'll go into this and do a little bit of a review of it, because there are some things that could be done better, but I want to be able to discuss them with you as we go. But you can see everything has a dimension. Everything has only one dimension. This gap does not have a dimension because I know where it starts from there, and then I know that I go down a certain length and come up. I know where it ends there. So rather than doing the gap, I did the two pieces of material. Another thing that you might see sometimes is 2 times this dimension shows up in 2 places, and this dimension shows up in 2 places. Okay, where is that other place? It's down here, but I don't need to show it there if I've done that a few times. Okay, so that's the gist of it. Remember, I need to always do dimensions to real surfaces. I showed how to do a breakout here. It's not really needed. I probably could have done better by putting a section through here versus showing this view that's a projection. Okay, but we'll talk about all these things as we go and develop our views and figure out what you can do. We're gonna do a good job on these, but we'll probably have a chance later on to do a better job. Okay, just want a very good standard drawing that has all the parts. Standard tolerance, title block, rev block, notes. At a different point in the process, we'll go over how to do all these tolerances, but we have to do a tolerance review first. Okay, there we go. That's sort of what I want to go over for creating your machining drawings.